Now, I'm really pleased to be joined by Life in Mono's Sarah Clayton. I've been playing Blackout since I received the track last week. It's absolutely excellent. And I'm joined by Sarah on the phone now. So, good morning, or good afternoon, rather.
Hello, Michelle. How are you doing?
Great. It's really lovely to talk to you.
And you, thank you for all the support. Thanks for playing Blackout a few times. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
it's a
you.
really cracking track. We're loving it. So let's talk about music. So, what is your earliest musical memory?
Um, so my parents had an old record player and a really small selection of vinyl. They probably had about six,
Yeah.
and we used to put them on loop and just dance around the living room like nobody was watching. Can't dance at all, but there's no need. Um, and then I started learning first the violin and then the guitar when I was about 10. So I've always been involved. And I've sung since I was, gosh, I've always sung. I won my first competition when I was 3, but apparently I was too young to win the prize.
So, you are a multi instrumentalist. I see the keyboard there in the background.
Yeah, yeah. So I play a bit of keys with like a mono. I play guitar, played classical violin. That was my first instrument. Still play every now and then, which is nice. But I've always been a singer, and
So,
I've always written.
when did you discover that you've actually had a really good singing voice? When did you sort of think, "Oh, I can actually really sing"? Did it sort of hit you quite young?
I've always been involved in singing since I was a child. Um, I think I've sort of always known that I could sing.
Mm.
And then, you know, I worked at it. So I've had loads of different types of vocal coaches over the years that have taught me loads of like various different things. Um, I think it was probably when I was a teenager that I was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah,
Like this is a bit of a thing that I've got.
yeah.
And I've never really wanted to do anything else. Um, so
So the
yeah.
band, Life in Mono, how did the band all come together? Have you known each other for years, or is it something, quite new?
Um, yes. So I was in a band with James, our guitarist, before Life in Mono. Um, and we did that for a little while. That was a very kind of like blues rocky thing. Um, and I wanted to do something a bit different. So I started writing for Life in Mono as that as a project. And we had Adam, who plays bass. I met him when we were about 18 at university. So I've been gigging with him for years. Um, James, I've been playing with for probably best part of 6 or 7 years at least.
Mm.
And then Mike, who plays drums, he joined us at the beginning of this year. So he is like the new addition to the band, but the others I've known and
Yeah.
played with for years.
And how do you put songs together? Are you a collective? Do you actually go to a studio and sort of jam ideas, or do you write stuff on the guitar and write lyrics down? How does it work?
I think I like to be a bit more efficient than just going in with absolutely nothing and hoping that a jam will just create something. So um, usually what will happen is I will write the bare sort of bones of the song, the lyrics, melody, and the chord progression or guitar part or piano part, and then take that to the band and we'll kind of flesh it out with everyone else's parts, and then it really becomes something quite different. But often James will come up with a really cool guitar thing and he'll send me that, and then I'll write something to that. So it's not always the same way every time,
Mm.
um, but it's definitely always starts out as kind of like poetry and the bare bones of a song. And if it works, I was always told like if a song works just you and a piano or you and a guitar,
Yes.
then it will work whatever you do with it. But
Yeah.
if it doesn't work in that really early state, then back to the drawing board with it.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that one. Now, I've asked quite a few of my guests lately this question, so you could be the first person to say no. We will see. So, do you ever feel when you're songwriting that it comes from the universe or something spiritual and it's like given to you as a gift? So, you're writing it, but it feels as if it's coming from somewhere else.
Not that it comes from somewhere else, but I do feel sometimes that it feels like songs write themselves.
Mm.
It's almost completely effortless uh, to come up with it, especially lyric writing. I think lyric writing is in some ways the easiest and the hardest part of songwriting.
Mm.
Um, but sometimes lyrics just flow really easily,
Yeah.
often with the help of half a bottle of red wine and some nice lighting.
That always helps. That helps a lot. What's your favourite lyric that you've ever written that you've looked back and you've gone, oh, that is a good lyric, and I've done that?
There's a few songs that I've written over the years that I every time we play them, I just think, yeah, I did quite well with that one.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a track from our first EP that we did as Life in Mono, and it's a song called Lead On. And I wrote the whole thing as a poem, and then we turned it into this really, really incredible song. And the lyrics are, it kind of follows this theme throughout, but it says, "If I should fall through the ice, will your hand follow to pull me to the surface? If my body is caught in flames, will you bring me water?" So I just always thought that was quite nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love asking songwriters for their best lyrics, and I write them down secretly so I can use them myself. I am kidding. I say that every time. So with the latest release, which is Blackout, which we've been playing, it is a double A side, isn't it, to another track which is called Sex to White Noise. So first of all, tell us about Blackout, and then tell us about Sex to White Noise.
So when we first wrote Blackout, and Blackout is about people in your life that you know are no good for you, but it's really hard to give them up.
Mm.
And Blackout at one point had this really heavy like break section at the end of it, and when we first showed it to our producer, he went, "Nah, that's a whole another song.
Yeah.
That is go and write a whole another song for that bit because that's really cool." So then we wrote Sex to White Noise, and because one fed into the other when we originally wrote it, that's how we've always performed it, and that's how we recorded it. So it naturally had to be a double A side release because the songs come together.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so it was a bit of a challenge, especially recording it, because that was 11 and a bit minutes of one take,
Wow.
two songs.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that's how we've always done it. So that was the best way to do it for us.
So is there an EP that are you just going to be releasing? I know for next year you've got lots of festivals coming up and you're going to be gigging a lot, which we'll talk about in a second. But is there an EP coming, or is it just going to be sort of series of releases?
I think at some point we'll probably do an EP with like a little selection of the more recent releases that we've done. We've kind of got some recording coming up, and we've got some songs in the bank that we haven't released yet.
Mm.
But at the moment, it's just been a case of like you release a track every now and then. This is going to come together as a double A side. But we'll probably do an EP release at some point. Just don't know when yet.
Describe a perfect band day for you. Would that be in the studio, on stage, or writing,
Gosh.
or something else?
Uh, probably in the studio. I love being in the studio because it feels very much like when we play live. The way that we record has always been a band in a room, so it's exactly the same as we would do it in a live setting. Apart from vocals are always added afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be able to go into the control room and listen to what everyone else hears, because of course when you're on stage you get like your own weird monitor mix which would make no sense to anyone else.
Yeah.
So it is nice to hear sort of what everyone else hears, but that said, you can't really beat the feeling of playing live.
Yeah.
So
And you've got lots of
Hanging
gigs
around
coming
for
up.
hours that I don't love so much when you're in
Yeah, yeah, that's always a bit of a pain. Hopefully, they normally got a free bar, but just again, you have to be careful when you're going on stage.
I know.
But with next year, you've got lots coming up. You are going to be releasing more songs, and you've got lots of festivals and gigs coming up next year. I read on your press release.
Yeah, so next year's going to be a bit of a busy year for us. We're not really saying too much about what we're doing or where we're going, but we have a lot planned in the pipeline for next year. So the rest of this year, we've got a few things coming up, more recording, more releases, and then next year it's going to be more of the same, but also with a lot more live shows as well.
And you've had a great response from the bigger stations as well for this track. So you're getting a lot of support on Blackout.
Yeah, so BBC Introducing in particular have really championed us. They have played our last few releases that we've done, and they're really loving it, which is really nice to have their support.
Yeah.
Especially also for Blackout and Sex to White Noise, which are probably the tracks that we've kind of written that we go, oh, they're the really important ones, aren't they? They're awesome. So
And they're out on the 2nd, isn't it? 2nd of December, they're actually officially released.
2nd of December they will be released. Yeah, so we've got almost a month to go.
And have you got a video to go with the tracks at the moment,
So
or is it not something
we
you're doing?
started filming for the Blackout music video on Monday
Yep.
in the pouring rain.
Yep.
And tonight we are going back out, hopefully not in the rain, but we don't know, to continue filming that. So yeah, we're currently mid music video for Blackout,
Oh,
and then we'll do something for Sex to White Noise as well.
excellent. Well, it's been great to talk to you.